have been seeing a lot of conversations about toxic braiding hair, especially from Americans, because of a report that said that a lot of the braiding hair extensions that we're using actually has a lot of dangerous chemicals. And while I'm not living in the United States, it is a fact that in a lot of African countries like Kenya, there are many brands from the United States and from other countries that are selling us their hair extensions and braiding hair. So this is a conversation that we should also be having, because maybe we're getting affected by these things. Of course, this conversation is gonna get better as I braid my hair with synthetic braiding hair. Of course, I highly suggest that you read the report for yourself. I will leave it in the description box. It's really important for you to read and come up with your own conclusions. Don't just listen to my own thoughts. I've gotten to a point where so many people are easily manipulated because they never really go to the source to find out exactly what was said or what was written somewhere, and that is very dangerous, especially to yourself, because you might be believing things that are blown out of proportion. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to read this consumer report on my own. Coincidentally, this report was actually created by Consumer Report, and in this report they say that the toxic chemicals that they found in the synthetic hair that they tested were cancer-causing chemicals, carcinogens, and then something they called VOCs, which are volatile organic compounds. They all sound very, very scary. I was actually shocked that they're saying that there are some braiding hair extensions that have over 5 million VOCs, volatile organic compounds, that have been found. 5 million? What does that mean? The question really here is, and one that has been ringing in my head, is why are these brands, if they're really toxic, why are they being allowed to sell their products? What is the function of these regulatory boards that are supposed to ensure that we are not being fed or interacting with anything that is toxic to us? Does it mean that they really do not care, or they don't do thorough investigations, saying that a lot of these products are affecting Black women, especially in the United States, also using a few of those products in African countries? And we know from speeches that have been made by a couple of some Westerners, they do not want African people in this world. They say that Africa is overpopulated, while they cry about the declining birth rates in their own countries. So is this one of those things that they're doing so they can get rid of us? But really, how is it that these products that allegedly have these high levels of chemicals are allowed into the market? However, one of the things that I actually find suspicious in this report is how they decided to come to the conclusion, how they decided to test for the danger level to you as a human being. The report, they said that they had 3 exposure models that they could have tested. That is inhalation, skin contact, and ingestion. I have the report just in front of me because I don't want to say wrong things. But what they chose is ingestion, and I'm like, wait a minute, ingestion is actually not the primary way in which we're interacting with braiding hair. Sure, as they explain, little pieces of the hair extensions might fall into somebody's food. Talk about how hair braiders, sometimes they will put their braid in their mouths, or they'll be braiding hair and then they eat. That's really a small percentage, because for majority of us, skin contact is the major way in which we're interacting with these hair extensions. So when I look at the results that they have from this consumer report, because they decided to focus on ingestion, it means that you might find yourself panicking for no reason. This is why you need to go to the source of things and read for yourself before panicking and having full-blown anxiety. Doesn't mean that because it's coming in contact with your skin that you're not getting exposed to these chemicals. No, but the exposure is highly reduced when it's just skin contact. One of the things that I've gathered from this report is that it's not that they're telling you not to use this braiding hair, just that they want you to be aware of the potential risk that you could be opening yourself to. It is very true that we are living in a world where almost everything we're interacting with contains toxic chemicals because of the capitalistic system that we have. I am not blaming capitalism, because at the end of the day, it's human beings who are enforcing the systems. We're living in a system where a lot of people take advantage so they can gain maximum profits. It means that most times in a lot of things, actually, you're finding ourselves interacting with a lot of these dangerous chemicals and we actually don't know about it. So such reports are actually very important in making us aware so that we can hopefully reduce our exposure to these things. As much as they mentioned that some of these products that they tested could have lead, they are saying that prolonged exposure of lead can lead to significant health issues. So it's really important to put that into mind. Personally, what I've gotten from this is that I should reduce my use of the synthetic braiding hair. Of course, I'm going to use them once in a while. If I were in a situation where I braided my hair and then I started feeling like I'm itching and I'm getting swelling, I wouldn't use such kinds of extensions. I don't even use them that much because, wait, I think this is the first time this year that I'm braiding my hair. We are in March. I would say for people who braid their hair and then after 4 to 5 weeks they remove their braids and they immediately braid their hair, well, you should be thinking about it. You should be really thinking about it. Actually, I've been thinking about the alternatives for braiding hair for quite some time now. Ever since I saw that there was a startup in Berlin, Germany that was in development for plant-based hair extensions. When I saw that brand, I was like, oh, and they highlighted the toxicity that we could be having in the braiding hair that is currently in the market. The brand is called Kind Hair. If you want to have a look at their Instagram, they're still in the product development phase. I'm very sure even once that they are out in the market, it's not like it's going to be like a cheaper alternative. But I think because they are aiming for this vegetable plant-based braiding hair to be reusable, maybe it's something that we're going to consider. Of course, once they get out to market, I'm gonna give them a try. The reports, they also mention this practice of always putting our braids in hot water to seal the ends, and actually there's some braiders who will burn the ends. I have seen videos of people whose hair is literally on fire. They actually say that when you expose the hair extensions to heat, it emits really toxic gases, and this is what they're categorizing under the volatile organic compounds. When you inhale these toxic gases, then that is very bad for you. And I actually do agree with this because many times when you are in a salon that is not well ventilated and they put those braids in hot water, you can always feel like the air has changed. They say the biggest culprit that is emitted when heat comes into contact with braiding hair is acetone, which is supposedly a respiratory irritant. And this report has actually made me think about the impact of corrupt governments, because if you're looking at Kenya, like many African countries, because our leaders are so preoccupied with corruption, they actually don't do anything, or they don't even invest in ensuring the citizens are safe. It also even makes me wonder whether the regulatory boards that are present in corrupt countries can be trusted, because they can just be paid off to give someone a license when they have created something that is increasingly dangerous for people. And when I look at Kenya today, the way it seems that cancer cases are increasing, it really makes me wonder, because we could be coming into contact with a lot of products that have a lot of these dangerous chemicals, but we wouldn't know about it because those products would have the seal of the regulatory board because someone was able to pay for that license. There's actually nothing that you can do because you can't prove it. The impact of corruption is just something that cannot be ignored because it's literally affecting you on a day-to-day basis. It literally causes a reduced life expectancy of people, but somehow a lot of people are not thinking about this, you know? A lot of people think that, oh, if corruption is not affecting me, I'll just wait for a savior, preferably an opposition leader, to fight for my rights, not knowing that the things that you're interacting with on a day-to-day basis are actually killing you. If we have governments we cannot trust, if we have regulatory boards that we cannot trust, what can we do to protect ourselves? What I'm going to be doing moving forward is definitely reduce my use of hair extensions. I should just think about my natural hairstyles. With the length that I have, I can definitely do natural hair braids, the matutas. Just that they don't last like this ones where you have to add the braiding hair. As I also said, I will be looking into the plant-based, non-toxic braiding hair. I also think that trying to live as naturally as possible, eating the most organic food you can find, also reduces your exposure to a lot of these things, because it's not just in a synthetic braiding hair. All these toxic chemicals are everywhere in the clothes that you're wearing. You need to start looking at the materials that are used to make your clothes, because these plastics are not helping us, especially as women. These are the things that are causing us to have really bad periods. These chemicals are messing with our hormones. You're finding a lot of people are getting endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's definitely not easy to control all these things, but I think you can just be vigilant and try to protect yourself as much as possible. This is an area that I have a lot of personal interest in, of course, because it affects my life. life. And hopefully when I have more time in the near future, it's something that I'll delve into in a bigger capacity. But for now, I'm just staying educated, staying curious. Read the report in full. Again, I will leave the link in the description box. It's really important for you to read it and come up with your own conclusions. My braids are coming along really nicely. I decided to just go with a smaller braid this time. It's actually much easier to do it. I mean, I've just been braiding since 11:30, and I think that's like for 3 hours now, because now it's like 2:30 but I'm filming this. 3 hours and I'm already done with this section and almost done with this section. That is actually quite fast. And if you see very clearly, I am not pulling my hair. I really do not care for having perfect braids because I don't want to have a headache. Anyway, take good care of yourself.